What's up guys, Galaxy King here, and today I've got my Sacred Beast deck profile for you guys. As someone who grew up watching the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime, I'm really excited about this deck and I hope it does really well in the competitive play, and yeah, I just have really high hopes for this deck. I really enjoy it. So let's get on with the deck profile. I'm going to start off with the Sacred Beasts. I have 2 Raviel Lord of Phantasms and the 1 Shimmering Scraper. Raviel can tribute a monster to gain its attack. So an easy OTK you can do, potentially, is you tribute something like Hamon and make this card gain an additional 4,000. It will go up to 8,000 attack points. And then you can use Shimmering Scraper's effect to double that to make it 16,000. So a multi-attacking 16,000 beat stick potentially could win you a game, and Raviel is just an amazing card and can really do a lot of damage. The second Sacred Beast I play is 2 Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder. This is probably the best Sacred Beast in terms of effects, because when it destroys a monster by battle, it can deal an additional 1,000 points of damage to your opponent, and if this card is in defense position, only your opponent can attack that monster. So having 4,000 defense and only your opponent can attack, being the only monster that your opponent can attack, your opponent will, hopefully they'll struggle getting over it, and Hamon is probably just the best in terms of Sacred Beasts and their effects. These are the only Sacred Beasts that I play at the moment. I don't play Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, because when I was testing this deck, Uriah wasn't doing anything and it just became a brick and it just became really annoying to deal with. So I took Uriah out of the deck, which also meant taking out Dimension Fusion Destruction and Armor Tile out of the extra deck. So, and then it just became a lot more consistent and easier to play with, and the majority of the time you're only going to have 2 Sacred Beasts on the field, with Awakening of the Sacred Beasts and Fallen Paradise. So for now, these are the only Sacred Beasts that I play. The ratio might change in future testing, but for now, these are the only Sacred Beasts that I play in the main deck. For the support cards, I have triple Dark Summoning Beast. This card helps you special summon the Sacred Beast from your deck by tributing it, and then you can banish it from the graveyard to search out another Sacred Beast. So it really helps speed up the deck, and it can get the Sacred Beast to your hand as quickly as possible. And then I have triple Dark Beckoning Beast. This is a rota for the entire deck. It can search out the Sacred Beasts, and it can also search out any card that lists Hamon, Raviel or Uriah in its text. So it can search out cards like Fallen Paradise, Awakening of the Sacred Beasts, Opening of the Spirit Gates, and it's just a really useful card. It also grants you an additional normal summon, so you can summon cards like Dark Summoning Beast or Chaos Summoning Beast and continue on there with their effects to get the Sacred Beasts out, and also get access to Fallen Paradise to protect them, and Awakening of the Sacred Beasts, because Awakening of the Sacred Beasts is primarily your win condition, because then your opponent can't activate monster effects, and then you gain life points whenever your opponent summons a monster, so that's really your win condition of the deck. Unfortunately, this card only gets its search effect when it's normal summoned, which can be really annoying, but when you start testing this deck out, you can find that it works fine the way it is, and it's a really useful card nonetheless. And then triple Chaos Summoning Beast. This could be considered a watered down version of Dark Summoning Beast, because Dark Summoning Beast summons a Sacred Beast from your deck at the cost of your battle phase, unfortunately. But Chaos Summoning Beast can contribute itself to special summon a Sacred Beast from your hand, and then you can banish this card from the graveyard, and it becomes a terraforming for your Fallen Paradise. So Chaos Summoning Beast really speeds the deck up, and you want to get access to this card and a Sacred Beast in your hand as quickly as possible. And that's really what Dark Beckoning Beast and Dark Summoning Beast can do, really. And there's also cards like Opening of the Spirit Gates which help that as well. But for the moment, triple of everything. This ratio is fine. I found this works the best in testing, just like the ratios with the Sacred Beast that I play. 3 of each is absolutely perfect, I wouldn't change that. And then for a really useful tech card is 1 Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair. This card works really well in this deck because cards like Chaos Summoning Beast, Dark Summoning Beast and Raviel, they all tribute, so you can summon this. If you don't know what this effect is, when you tribute a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, and then you can tribute 1 dark monster, so in this case it would most likely be itself, and then you can get a card out of your opponent's hand. So it's a really useful card, and it's also banish fodder for Allure of Darkness as well, because we do play a lot of dark monsters in this deck. But Darkest Diablos is actually a really useful card to play in this deck, and any deck that can tribute summon or tribute any dark monsters efficiently should definitely run Darkest Diablos. It's such an amazing card. And then for the hand traps that I play, I have triple Ash Blossom. I plan to replace this with DD Crow when I get my hands on a few copies of them, because I found that when I was testing this deck with Allure of Darkness and Ash Blossom's the only monster that I had in my hand, it was really awkward and it was just really annoying to deal with. So you can play Ash Blossom if you like, if you prefer it. I do plan to replace it with DD Crow when I get my hands on it, but for the moment Ash Blossom is what I play. You can really play whatever hand trap you like in this deck, but again, for the moment all I play is Ash Blossom. That's really all you need. And then for the spells, I have 2 Fallen Paradise. This is your field spell of the deck. It helps protect your Sacred Beast because Raviel, Hamon, I'm just going to say those 2 because they only Sacred Beasts that I play in this deck. Hamon and Raviel can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then once per turn, if you control a Sacred Beast, you can draw 2 cards. So during your standby phase, if you go first and you get a really good board and your opponent can't do anything, during your draw phase you draw 1 card for your draw phase, and then during your main phase you draw an additional 2 cards. So you get to draw 3 cards in the next turn if you manage to survive. So it's a really useful card, and 2 is fine at the moment because you don't want to brook with it. And Chaos Summoning Beast and Dark Beckoning Beast can easily search this card out. So as a 2 of, absolutely brilliant. And for your additional spells, I have triple Opening of the Spirit Gates. This is just another rota for your Sacred Beasts and your other beast cards that help special summon the Sacred Beasts. And it also speeds the deck up because you can discard a Fiend, if I'm correct. No, sorry, it's just 1 card. You discard 1 card and then you special summon a Fiend monster, a dark Fiend monster, sorry, with 0 attack and defense, which in this case is all your additional beast monsters, and then special summon them. So it helps special summon your Dark Beckoning, Chaos Summoning and Dark Summoning Beast, so you can use their effects again if they're not banished. And then once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. So if you have another copy of this in the graveyard, you can use that effect to get another Opening of the Spirit Gates. And then 1 Cerulean Skyfire, this is an added negate with Hamon. I might add this up to 2 in future testing, but for now 1 is fine. When your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can switch Hamon to defense position and then negate that effect. In the OCG, correct me if I'm wrong, but it negates the resolution rather than the activation. So if in the TCG we still had that effect, then potentially this card could have stopped cards like Super Polymerization. And if you know what Super Polymerization does, you neither player can activate cards or effects in response to that card's activation, but because Cerulean Skyfire would negate the resolution, that can still technically negate Super Polymerization. So, but still, Cerulean Skyfire, the way it is fine, I don't mind it. And then it also has a nice little effect where if a Sacred Beast leaves the field, you don't take any damage for a turn. So it helps you stay in the game longer, and it's just an added negate as well. And then for draw power, I have triple Allure of Darkness. Whole deck is pretty much dark, so you can play this as much as you want. And then triple Called by the Grave. The deck loses to hand traps, so you have Called by the Grave just to stop your opponent stopping you. And then for one-offs, I have 1 Upstart Goblin just for added draw power, 1 Foolish Burial to get cards like Dark Summoning Beast and Chaos Summoning Beast into your graveyard so you can get their search ability by banishing them, and 1 for 1 so you can get out your Chaos Summoning Beast. One thing you can do with this card is you discard Dark Summoning Beast to special summon Chaos Summoning Beast, and then you can banish Dark Summoning Beast from the graveyard to add Hamon or Raviel to your hand, and then tribute your Chaos Summoning Beast to special one of them, and then banish it again to search out Fallen Paradise, and then use Fallen Paradise's effect to draw 2 cards and hopefully extend your play. So these are just the one-offs that I play. I'm fine with that. For the traps, I have triple Awakening of the Sacred Beasts. This is your win condition of the deck. If you control, you gain effects based on the amount of Sacred Beasts that you control. So the majority of the time you want to see 2 Sacred Beasts so you can get the best effect off. The first effect is if you control 1 Sacred Beast, each time your opponent summons a monster, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack. And then if you control 2, your opponent's monsters have their effects negated, and that can really impact the game, because that is a really powerful effect. And then if you control 3 or more, which with the deck that I play, most likely not going to happen, but honestly the first 2 effects are absolutely perfect and that can win you the game in certain situations. But the third effect is any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. So this is just your win condition, and it's an absolutely amazing card, and you need to play through this. Absolutely amazing card. And then for additional traps, I have triple Lost Wind just to deal with any annoying special summon monsters that your opponent controls, and also I like the effect that it can return itself when your opponent special summons a monster. And then 1 Skill Drain. I play Skill Drain because it's pretty much the same as Awakening of the Sacred Beasts, and one play that I found works is when I've been testing this deck, I only managed to have 1 Sacred Beast on the field, but I also had Awakening of the Sacred Beasts and Skill Drain. So Awakening of the Sacred Beasts will only get you the first effect to gain life points, but still with Skill Drain you get the benefit of having both of these 2 effects of Awakening of the Sacred Beasts, and having your Sacred Beasts effects negated really doesn't hinder your play all that much, because your Sacred Beasts don't really do much during your opponent's turn anyway. Apart from Raviel, because when your opponent normal summons a monster, you get to special summon a token. But that really doesn't matter all that much. These 1 skill drain and 3 awakened Sacred Beasts is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change that. That's it for the main deck. I'm going to go on to the extra deck now. With the extra deck, you can pretty much play whatever you like, because Sacred Beasts don't really rely on their extra deck all that much, unless you were playing the Armor Tile version, then in that case you would. But for the moment, what I play is 1 Apollousa, just for added negates if you ever manage to summon this. I also have the Nightmare package, so 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix and 1 Cerberus. Phoenix just to get rid of any annoying spell or traps on the opponent's field, and Cerberus just to get rid of any annoying monsters, and then Unicorn just to get rid of anything really. And then I have 1 Salamangreat Almiraj, just so you can get a opening of the Spirit Gates effect off. You normal Dark Beckoning Beast, and then you do whatever you need to do with the cards you have in your hand, and then you link summon into Salamangreat Almiraj using Dark Beckoning Beast, so you can use opening of the Spirit Gates to discard whatever you need, and then special summon whatever fiend monster you need from your graveyard. And then 1 Relinquished Anima, just to help get rid of any annoying monsters. 1 Linkuriboh, because it's Linkuriboh. And then 1 Secure Gardener. What I like to do is, just for added protection, is after I've gone into Salamangreat Almiraj, I go into Secure Gardener. And then with Secure Gardener, once per turn, you don't take any damage. So it can help you stay in the game, and it's a really useful card that helps you just stay longer in the game really. And then 1 Barricade Borg Blocker, I had trouble saying that name, sorry. Just helps return your cards like Cerulean Skyfire, Opening of the Spirit Gates, or Fallen Paradise. And then 1 Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Guster Max, just to help deal massive amounts of damage to your opponent in case you ever go into time and you need to get ahead. You can just use that. I've mostly just played this deck online because we're still technically in containment with the COVID-19. So, but when tournament play starts back up, I will definitely test this deck out to see what it can do in competitive play, and I just really hope that this deck does well. Maybe it will be a rogue deck or a low tier deck. I would really like to see it compete against big meta decks like Dinosaurs or even Dragma when they're released in the TCG. I would really like to see this deck compete on a competitive level. And really, that's it for the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought in the comments and where I could potentially improve on this deck. And I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Take care.